When this idea came to me, I was extremely naive because I thought that this is a piece of scrap paper. It had other marks on it that are visible through the paint, and it has a very visible fold in the center of the paper because this was just scrap paper that I was using to clean my brushes earlier, and instead of throwing it to the trash, I had it here. And so when I found these paints, and they used to be liquid and now they are dry and just blocks inside their glass bottles, and I didn't know if they are usable anymore, so I wanted to use this scrap paper to just test if the colors work still. And I opened a few of the bottles, and what ended up happening is this basically almost like a painting. It looks like a scenery, but I never intended to finish this because the paper is destroyed. It's scrap paper, and I wasn't intending on doing a painting. But now that I have this thing here in front of me, I thought that why wouldn't I finish this? Because I can stick this in a scanner, and if I have a book on top of the scanner, it will press the paper down so hard that the fold won't be visible in the scan when it's pressed against the glass. At this point, I was still completely innocent to the fact that I am about to be hit with all of these fears, and the fears are as follows. I thought that I am going to make a painting like this because I noticed how good this combination of colors is, and that got me excited to do a painting like this on a paper that isn't destroyed. But then when Bryan on Instagram asked me, which do you think is going to be the more challenging one? And I immediately answered that obviously the challenging part here is neither painting, because they are probably going to be both very challenging in their own ways. But the challenge here is posting both of these pieces online that are going to be pretty similar in color, but other one is going to be a digital painting and another one is going to be a traditional painting. And my fear here is that people are going to use this as a platform to bring their own ideas of what is better, digital or traditional medium. And honestly, and you can take this from a painter who studied oil painting for 3 years, and I still love it, and I obviously love digital painting. I don't care about these differences or this like war of which is better, traditional or digital medium at all. I think painting is painting. Obviously, I'm not trying to compare these two because the results are going to be different. Some things are much easier in digital medium. It's much easier to edit things. It's much easier to correct colors once the painting is done. And that is super convenient, and especially in an industry, if you are doing these illustrations for commercial clients, that kind of fastness, it's not only nice to have, it's imperative. And obviously that fastness is important too. It's not just a nice to have thing, because the price tag for illustrations is really high to cover the cost of making that work. I mean, it's expensive. Ordering an illustration is a luxury. It's not a must-have thing for anybody. Nobody needs it like they need to have toilet paper or a carton of milk. Illustration is a luxury, and the price tag is high because it's supposed to cover all these expenses surrounding this whole process, including writing tons and tons of emails with the client and being on the same page about the project. All of that costs money. So the fastness is not just a nice to have thing. If you want to make art for clients, you are going to have to price them quite differently if you are using traditional medium. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that or that you can't do it. Obviously, it's a challenge. Like selling art in the first place is a challenge, but the speed is definitely something that will affect the price. That's not to say that there aren't great sides to traditional medium. And obviously I love this texture. That's why I wanted to scan this piece, to use this as a painting, because it's really fun to do. And that's basically what made me do this whole project in the first place, just because it's fun to do. I want to stay true to the impulses of creativity that I have and rather follow them than follow the fears. If somebody uses this as a leverage to advocate their own ideas of what art should and shouldn't be. I think that just has to be fine with me, because that's not something that I can control. But at the same time, I should be happy that I got these ideas and I am able to paint these ideas. That shouldn't stop my enjoyment of art. And I think these sort of situations where I recognize where the difficulty is, just having this YouTube channel, I think it gives me a bit of extra courage in these sort of situations, because I notice now where that sort of like discomfort comes from. If I think about the idea and then I think about the risks of executing that idea, and when I think about those risks, there is this fear that comes always with those unknown factors. And just having this channel, it makes me think that, okay, I'm going to just do it anyway, because if I thought about any of you following my channel, I would want you to do the same thing. Always follow the almond of more creativity rather than letting your fears cut away good ideas from you. Because who knows, this might turn out to be an okay painting, or even a good one. And you can't work based on those sort of like unknown factors of things that could go wrong. Because when you are committed to doing an illustration, you kind of have to give it your all to make it work. And I think in times like these, just having this sort of hobby and making this art, that to me is very comforting, because just the act of painting, it kind of shuts down the outside world in a very effective way, and it gives me peace. And that's why I made this video, because I want you to paint as well and find those moments of just inner quietness in the painting process. I'm Mikko, and I'll see you in the next video. Go and paint stuff. You have time.